I have never blocked in a video game. It's never been a gameplay mechanic I have felt drawn to. Same goes for parrying.
Parry. I don't want to parry.
Lies of P is a game I've heard good things about in terms of it being one of the best Souls-inspired games of recent year. So once again, I went in blind.
Girl, you are blind. Ladder is next to the door? No, it's not.
And decided to see if I could teach myself a skill I'd always avoided. So here is how I went from this
Wrong button.
to this, playing Lies of P. Telling the story in a similar way to my Dark Souls 2 video. Thank you so much for everyone who enjoyed that format. Here we go again. Thank you to OperaGX for sponsoring this video. If you're watching this, then there's a good chance you enjoy fantasy games. So why is your browser still so boring? OperaGX is the browser forged for gamers, and with GX mods you can shape your browsing experience into your own personal realm. Whether you want to feel like you're resting by a bonfire or standing outside a gothic castle, GX mods lets you build that world with animated, live, and reactive wallpapers, even ones that shift depending on whether you're using light or dark mode. Every part of your browser can be tailored to match your style. You can change the sounds when you open and close tabs, type on the keyboard, and even add ambient background music. You can customize the splash screen when you launch the browser as well. OperaGX is your cauldron. Toss in any ingredients from the hundreds of mods available and conjure a browser that's distinctly yours. Mix, match, enable or disable whichever parts you like from the mods menu in the sidebar. Now let's say you're watching an hour-long video essay or documentary, but you still want to tab around or multitask. Then I cast Floating Magic Square. OperaGX lets you pop out a resizable video player that hovers anywhere you like on the screen. Just tap this button and the square will follow you around across tabs like a faithful familiar, so you never have to pause your quest for lore. And of course, nothing ruins immersion like the sudden advert when you're trying to escape the real world. OperaGX comes with a built-in ad blocker so you can browse uninterrupted. Watch as I don't have the energy to switch to a new browser. Silence! Everyone starts with the import tool in their inventory. It came free with your OperaGX. No matter which old browser you were using, you can transfer things like your history, bookmarks, and cookies in all just a few clicks. So download OperaGX for free today using my link and level up your browser. Thank you again to OperaGX. Oh, I've been hit. I'm going to take this off now, if that's all right with everyone. You begin on a train in Krat Station. It's gloomy, it's raining, and it quickly becomes clear that something has gone terribly wrong in this city.
Big bronze statue, steampunk game, police. Bioshock!
Let's get this out of the way early on. There are some aesthetics here that are very reminiscent of the game Bioshock Infinite. The posters, the grandiose architecture, the reverence for progress, it all carries the same energy. But while Infinite is more to do with neoclassicism and the Americana, Lies of P leans into the Victorian and European flavoured steampunk. As for the gameplay, there's no shortage of combat systems, but the game eases you in with helpful prompts that explain each one as it becomes relevant. And the best part is, you don't have to master every single system in order to progress in this game. If you're wondering how this compares to a Souls game, I'd say there is a lot of comfortable familiarity here. You'll recognise the levelling, the weapon upgrades, the checkpoint system, and the multi-phase boss fights. But Lies of P does add its own polish, a sprinkling of quality of life features here and there. While exploring the station, I had my first encounter with an enemy with actual game mechanics. As I dodged and chipped away, I noticed their health bar became outlined in white. This means they can be staggered. A fully charged heavy attack will do it. Once staggered, you're able to perform a fatal attack, an animation that deals significant damage.
Oh, no. What, did I do it wrong? What's happening? I feel like I did not do that right.
The tricky part for me, however, was I didn't actually know how to do this. I rounded a corner and came face to face with the mechanic I had been dreading.
You got a parry? Okay, I will. He doesn't help when he misses.
Now, while I do refer to it as parrying, the term used in this game is perfect blocking. Functionally, it's the same. You deflect just at the right time to gain a combat advantage, and up until now, I had never engaged with this style of gameplay, but that was about to change. Importantly, Lies of P doesn't demand that you master every mechanic in order to move forward. I certainly didn't at first, but it does encourage you to use the perfect block system. For example, right before the first boss, you enter an old, abandoned circus, and there's a training dummy you can spar with.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was actually really fitting to have this feature here, as an old-timey boxing automaton works naturally into this world. It throws out basic attacks and a fury attack, giving you a safe space to practice your moves and practice doing the perfect blocks. First boss is Parade Master, and he's honestly a fantastic introduction to this game. If Dr. Eggman were a mechanical ringmaster, this is exactly what he would look like. The towering puppet grabs, claws, and lunges at you. One thing I especially appreciate is that one of his moves, the shoulder barge, is almost identical to an attack used by a policeman enemy back at the station. And I really love when games give you a preview of what's to come, letting you learn mechanics on smaller enemies before testing you in a boss fight. It felt really good to recognise that attack and have an idea of how to counter it. That said, I was not prepared for what came next.
What's he doing? Oh god, what's he doing?
At around half health, Parade Master yanks on his chimney-like hat and rips off his own face and scalp, now wielding it as a weapon. You can see the fiery furnace inside his upper body, and suddenly the fight gets a lot more intense. At this point, I was still applying my typical Souls approach, playing it safe, moving in and out, dodging, and getting in a few quick hits. But once he enrages like this, he gains new moves, one of which he rotates his upper half 360 degrees, making it much harder to dodge his swings consistently.
Oh, the rotate! Oh no!
On my next attempt, a helpful little pop-up appeared, teaching me about Fable Arts. This is the blue meter which gradually charges as you attack. Once it's full, you can activate special weapon-specific moves, some of which can stagger enemies. And finally, when I staggered this boss, it was much clearer how to follow up with a fatal attack, courtesy of the nice red circle telling me where to stand. With some careful timing and cautious positioning, I finally defeated my first boss. With Parade Master down, I gained access to the game's hub, Hotel Krat. Before I could even step inside, I was introduced to one of the game's most intriguing aspects, the truth and lie mechanic. Throughout the game, there'll be lots of opportunities to make branching decisions in the form of telling the truth or lying. Now, it's easy to say, I just tell the truth, but the game immediately subverts that idea.
The hotel's security excludes puppets like you.
What?
You'll have to lie to get inside.
If you tell the truth and admit that you're a puppet, the doors won't open and you can't continue. What's even better is that these are quick-time decisions. You have around 10 seconds to process the question, understand your situation, and commit to an answer.
Ooh, it's a timer? It's a quick time event.
It's a smart design choice that forces you to go with your gut, preventing players from just pausing to look up the correct option. Once you're inside, you get this really awesome intro cutscene that sets the tone for the game and gives you an idea of this puppet frenzy catastrophe that has unfolded. I then met Sophia, our level-up lady, and slowly settled into the hotel, meeting the various guests and staff. Like any good Souls-like, these NPCs all have their own stories, quests, and emotional baggage. I was also given access to my Legion arm, courtesy of Vengini, the hotel's blacksmith. This also introduces a whole new combat tool. You start with the puppet string arm, which works like a wire, pulling enemies towards you. But soon you'll get to choose different tools for the arm, each one offering unique abilities that can expand your combat options. Next up was Elysion Boulevard, a stretch of elegant shops and boutiques lit up with flickering signs in the night. At this point, I still wasn't really trying to perfect block. I was mostly brute forcing my way through enemies, or just sprinting past them altogether. Every now and then I'd land a perfect block just through pure luck. It wasn't strategic. Eventually, I decided something had to change. So when I came across the next big enemy, I made myself stop, watch, and actually react. And to my surprise, it actually worked. I started feeling the rhythm of combat, timing my guard, reading the animations. Who knew it could be this satisfying? Then I met Mad Donkey.
Die!
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Everything I had practiced was pretty much thrown out the window, because I had learnt it for that specific puppet, but this guy wasn't a puppet. He was a human-sized, aggressive, fast. If you've ever fought an invader in Souls, you'll know that feeling of the unpredictable movement and constant pressure. I tried to stand my ground, but he just steamrolled through me, so I fell back into old habits, dodging and running for my life. I was getting cooked. Around that time, I also found a vendor selling the electric coil stick, my first non-starter weapon. The game is pretty much hinting to you that electricity is going to be important soon. I didn't pick up on that immediately, but if you offer me an electric bonk stick, I'm not going to say no. With my new weapon, I went back to re-challenge Mad Donkey. The bonk stick was faster, and the electric blitz effect gave me this little extra punch. But even then, this guy didn't let up. He just kept on swinging. I did try blocking more, but it was still hard to shake the instinct to dodge. What I hadn't quite internalized yet was this. If the enemy doesn't give you an opening, you have to make one. Block, stagger, and then punish. But that's the wisdom from future Chalice. In the moment, Chalice discovered something else. Cheese. Human-sized bosses are fast, but they're also small, which means you can maneuver easily behind them to get off some backstabs. And with the puppet string Legion arm, I could yank him into position to do some pretty disgusting tech. I wasn't fully embracing the style that felt best for me, but hey, it was working.
Giving you fair, front-facing combat. Okay, he turned into it. Let the record show.
And after that messy but satisfying win, I met Geppetto, P's supposed father figure. After this, you gain access to one of the game's most unique features, weapon assembling. The blade and the handle are actually two separate components. That's because each piece does something different, and now with assembly unlocked, you can mix and match these parts freely. You don't have to use this feature. Some weapons are great straight out of the box, but it does open up this level of customization that really sets Lies of P apart. Now, there are a lot of weapons in this game, and that means a lot of possible combinations. 550 viable combinations, to be exact.
I will say, if there's numbers anywhere on the screen, I'm not looking at them. My eyes glaze over.
What makes this system even better is that it's completely free. No currency or resources. You can disassemble and reassemble to your heart's content. And because there's this courtyard area in the hotel, it's super easy to just go and try different setups and abilities against the training dummies. I found this really fun, and it's clear that the devs wanted you to enjoy both combat and experimentation, cranking a weapon to max, or just making something that looks funny.
We're gonna fight a puppet. Shocker. Shock and horror. Ooh.
The way scrapped Watchman moves reminds me of Rajang from Monster Hunter and Vought from Dark Souls smashed together. His whole style is these heavy, wind-up haymaker punches, and it's so fitting. He moves just like a wind-up puppet. Now, during the fight, my chat pointed out something I hadn't noticed yet. Those weird symbols at the bottom of the screen are actually subtitles. Your character P can't understand them yet, but if you squint hard enough, you can kind of read them. The font is weirdly obscure, but technically readable.
William Afton Bayou. I syringe. I can either read the subtitles or fight the boss. I can't do both.
Who could have guessed that electricity wouldn't work against an electricity puppet? But that actually wasn't my biggest issue. My biggest handicap was panicking.
Oh, stand in the spot. Stand in the spotlight. Do the thing. No, stand there. Stand there. No. I missed it.
I was flailing, spamming dodge like a headless chicken, trying to just get away from the boss. But then it hit me. Maybe blocking was the answer here. After all, blocking does let you regain health with counterattacks, and if you perfect block, you take no damage whatsoever and build up stagger.
Oh, withstand everything, sir.
And that's when something started to click. I wasn't perfect, but I could feel a rhythm building. There was this shift in how I was playing. For the first time, I genuinely wanted to stay close. I wanted to get in the boss's face and dare them to hit me. But here, I was actively fighting the instinct to run. I was learning to stay put, to watch and wait for the right moment. No matter how scary the boss looked like when they started doing that big red fury attack, they could still be staggered. They're not invincible. They can bleed. And just when I thought I was finally getting past that fear, halfway through the fight, he did this.
What? Oh no. Oh, this is... Ah. I see.
And now all of his attacks are infused with electric shock, and he will just flood the arena with lightning.
Okay, it sucks to stand here. Everywhere sucks. Can I parry the lightning?
You can block everything in this game. Some things are riskier, sure, but the fact that you can is just kind of amazing. And the feedback you get from doing a perfect block, the noise, the sparks, when it all starts to flow together, it's addictive. I couldn't just stand there in the lightning and take it. I had to adapt, either block, dodge, or reposition. That's what I really appreciate about Lies of P. The combat doesn't force you into one playstyle. You've got a full toolbox. Some bosses lean towards certain approaches, but you're never truly out of options. You just have to figure out what works for you in the moment. Of course, there's always a catch. Weapon durability. Blocking everything comes at a cost. Each hit wears your weapon down, and once that durability gets in the red, you'll need to sharpen like mad. But it's not just you. Enemies can have their weapons break as well if you block enough. But remember, so can yours. And once it breaks mid-fight, you can't magically regenerate it. Your run is done. I was close, but every attempt eventually hit a wall. The fight would go on for just a bit too long, and I'd end up drained of pulse cells, durability, stamina, and patience. And that's when I'd choke. So I took a break. Went back to the hotel, crafted a new weapon that was just physical damage. After putting a level into health, I was finally in a position to win.
The electricity! Have you considered trying the proven to be effective strat of putting on a silly hat? I haven't, you are right. I haven't tried that yet. This one's pretty silly.
And honestly, I got very lucky. I should have died here. I was just standing in the lightning, but the lucky hat saved me. Totally not because I leveled up Vigor. It wasn't the cleanest victory, but I had improved a fair amount since I first started with those panicked attempts. I'd found the rhythm for blocking, learning when to stagger, when to punish, and that's how I scrap Watchman as one of my favourite bosses in the entire game. As an early boss, he sets the tone for everything that comes next. He teaches you, he punishes you, and when you finally figure him out, he rewards you.
Quick quartz on the P organ. It's just immature. As you take your P organ time.
The game opens up a lot now, with different skill trees and different Legion arm options. There's quite a lot of in-depth upgrades you can do. I then headed into the Vengini works to rescue the titular character Vengini, and the view you get of this area is really beautiful. The time of day has actually changed since the last boss. Everything is bathed in this grey light of dawn, with the factory chimney silhouetted against the sky and the thick smoke rolling through. There's steam in my steampunk game. Inside the factory, you can see puppets being assembled, a stripped-down version of enemies you've fought before, with similar movesets, just minus the fancy outer layers.
The head is not for thrusting. Boy, do I have some information for you. What?
I then wandered into a strange little area and stumbled across a peculiar boss patrolling through a poison swamp. After some cheeky looting and scouting out, I found two tiny outcrops of dried land outside of this corruption area, but they were barely big enough to stand on, let alone fight on. So I decided to explore more of the Vengini works, and yeah, this place is really fun.
Oh, this place gives me the creeps. It's like something's gonna jump out any second.
Oh! 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 Oh, for God's sake. Oh, goodness. Oh!
And then I ran into two characters who just radiated suspicion. Red Fox and Black Cat. And naturally, I immediately got scammed.
You wish you had this, and the price is a steal.
Suspicious thing I've ever heard. I'll take it. Warning, this book has been banned. If found, please report it to the city. Reading banned books will result in punishment. Uh-oh. Are you sure you want to read it? Uh-oh. They can't tell if I've read a book. You were warned, but you're reading a forbidden book. You're a bad person. Well, you're reading it, so this is what you get. Oh, you've conned me.
Now 500 ergo lighter and without my dignity, I swore that next time I saw this Black Cat, he'd get what's coming.
That guy's gonna come bursting out there, right? Oh, fuck.
There I met Jerry. We love Jerry, we love his spade. I then went back to take on this boss, Puppet of the Future, trying to lure him over to that tiny dry patch I found earlier. And I mean, it wasn't not working, but it kind of felt a bit wrong. Here I was in this massive arena, fighting a 2-story boss on a tiny square of ground in front of a ladder. His attacks were quite slow, but the camera was a nightmare, constantly tilting straight up, trying to follow his swings downwards while I dodged in and out of these corruption puddles. That's when chat informed me that I might want to pay Jerry another visit.
I'm so sorry, Jerry. Forgive me. Forgive me for doing this. I'm burning to death!
Turns out, the lever Jerry was guarding drains the corruption from the arena. That sounds familiar. Anyway, the fight became way easier after that. Maybe too easy, because I got a bit overconfident. But eventually, we managed to take him down. Puppet of the Future is technically an optional boss. Not that I knew that at the time, but I tend to fight bosses when I find them, unless there's a really good narrative reason to spare them. Then came Survivor.
Friend.
All puppets must die.
Like most human enemies in this game, he's ridiculously fast and relentless. Trying to find a window to stagger him just felt like pure luck. Or, you know, you could break his weapon Next stream, I set out to help Vengini, and for some reason, I felt a real kinship with him.
Is that a fake nose? Ah, here he is. Just uncanny, isn't it?
I was tasked with taking out Fuoco, Vengini's old factory assistant who'd gone rogue. Fuoco actually reminded me a lot of Puppet of the Future. They have the same heavy mechanical-like attacks, but Fuoco is much faster and way more reactive whenever I try to stagger him. Still, this fight was quite a blast. I always love when the environment plays a role in an encounter.
What is he doing? He's hiding? Ah! You'll never find me here.
Eventually, though, I managed to take him down, mostly by hiding behind the pillars to avoid getting roasted. With Vengini rescued, I now had access to the full lineup of Legion arms, each one pretty distinct, and thankfully, the game gives you enough resources to unlock all of them and choose which ones you want to upgrade in a single playthrough. One of them, however, took my fancy, the goop arm.
Pandemonium fires a sticky acidic substance. Oh! I want that.
From there, I spent some time exploring the city and its outskirts, and then I reached a cable car, guarded by a stalker named the Atoned. But because I'd beaten the survivor earlier, I was actually given the option to deceive this one.
Who are you? Are you a stalker?
I didn't technically lie, I just didn't correct them. You're starting to get the idea of how the lies and the truth are in this game. Now, after finishing the game, I actually learned that if you don't have this option, or if you stay silent, the Atoned will fight you. This is a boss fight. But I was just following my gut, or rather my P organ. I wasn't trying to min-max or avoid fights. I just did what felt right in my first playthrough. And honestly, it was a beautiful moment. I got to go on this scenic view up the cliff with this view of Moonlight Town. It was accompanied by this grating, annoying sound the entire way up.
Hi, kid. Frangelico. Wonderful saint. Wonderful. Anyway, next stop, the Bridge of Atonement.
I haven't mentioned yet, but this is Gemini, your trusty sidekick. As P doesn't really talk, Gemini talks enough for everyone.
You look annoyed. Well, oh, why am I thinking about it? Amatsa, that's Gemini!
Now, I did give him a hard time at first, but in all honesty, he did grow on me eventually. His candid and bright-eyed comments become quite comforting when the game gets quite dark. Eventually, I arrived at the Path of Misery, which introduced an entirely new faction. Up until now, it had mostly been humans and puppets. Then I ran into carcasses. They're essentially the game's version of zombies, but way more imaginative than I expected. The game takes quite a religious turn.
Face-palming angels? Double face-palm. All the way.
As you reach the Cathedral, visually one of the most breathtaking areas in the entire game. It also brought in a wide range of these new carcass enemies, and I really like how they were designed. There are tons of different variants you find throughout the game, each with unique attack patterns and behaviour. St. Frangelico's Cathedral was something else entirely. It was just as imposing as it was beautiful, but there was also this creeping, sinister atmosphere. If all those twisted enemies were just what was left outside, I didn't want to imagine what I'd find inside this place.
It's an angel.
Yeah, this place was quite unpleasant.
Oh god. I am not getting in that water. Oh, an elevator.
Lots of climbing, platforming, balancing along ledges, avoiding these decaying pools, and of course getting chased down by enemies the whole way through.
Oh, platforming. Oh, platforming.
Hesitation meant death here. You just had to push forward and pray that you didn't fall.
Out of my way! Ow. Not now. Not now. Not now. Not now. Yeah. Stop! Enough! Do that all again! Take that, balls! But maybe we will. Oh god, there's more. Oh god. Oh god.
After a long stretch with no Stargazer checkpoint, I finally found reprieve in the library where I met Cecile, who told me about her beloved Archbishop. And then I found Alidoro, the boss weapon vendor.
Is that a horseman? Oh, it's a dog.
Now the cool part about Boss Ergo in this game is that each one can be exchanged for either a weapon or an amulet. So if you're not really feeling the weapon, you can actually grab the amulet, which gives you a passive effect instead. For Fuoco's Ergo, I skipped the greatsword and actually picked up an amulet that increased my damage after landing a perfect guard. And honestly, I ended up using this thing for most of the game. It really pushed me into doing that more defensive, precise playstyle, and it felt really good to land those parries and get rewarded for them. I also bought the 7-coil spring sword because someone in chat mentioned that it had a similar moveset to the Claymore, and they were absolutely right. Some of these boss introductions really nail the blend of body horror and a little bit of dark comedy as well.
Hi. Oh.
Fallen Archbishop Andreus is one of the wildest boss designs in the game. This bloated bug-like monster belly flops, swipes, whips his rotting tongue around.
I haven't tried this yet. Okay. Okay, burn it with fire. Burn it with fire.
The grindstones in this game don't just help sharpen your weapon for its durability, they can actually apply special effects. So using my special grindstone, I coated my weapon in fire and started doing a lot more damage. All I had to do now was learn his moveset, sticking with the parry-focused approach I'd been using previously. Eventually, I pushed his HP to 0, but remembered that angel we saw earlier? Yeah, I wonder what happened to him. Phase 2 reveals the Andreus part of the boss, showing how he is part of this monster attached via a centipede-like tail. It's quite hard to process visually. You're not really supposed to understand what you're looking at, which is really fitting, seeing as Andreus sees himself as a godlike figure, blind to the greed which has corrupted him. While still taking in this new form, I realised that if I moved around the boss, his phase 1 head was still there. So you can actually reposition yourself and fight this side, kind of like the Duke's Dear Freya from Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 mentioned. This side had the same general moveset that I'd already learnt from phase 1, albeit a little bit more frantic. So I decided to stick with what I was more familiar with. The only problem is that when you enter phase 2, the game resets your position back to the boss door, so you're actually facing the Centipope side. So I'd have to run around to the other end of the boss every time just to get back in my comfort zone. And every time I would have to listen to this.
I'm a one-winged angel. One-winged angel. Angel. googly eyed since the present. God.
On one particularly good Phase 2 attempt, everything seemed to be going my way. I understood his behaviour. Surely that's all he had to offer, right? No more curveballs the game could throw at me, right?
Get out of the character model. What is that? What is that? What's happening?
That was the point where frustration really started to creep in for me. Not only is this a long fight, it's got multiple layers to it, mechanics, and a boss that won't shut up.
What am I doing?
The next time I got an attempt at countering the laser, I tried to position myself really close to him, thinking that that was probably safer.
Did he sit on me? Did I miss the laser and then die to sit?
Watching it back, it looks like I got caught in a shockwave that happens after the laser. I'm not sure if his knees actually have any collision, but I did end up definitely taking damage from that shockwave in many subsequent attempts. After that one side fires the laser, the center pope side slams his staff down, sending out this wave. But I never figured that out, so don't worry, just face tank it, right?
Get out of these fucking mouth! I'm so sorry, excuse my language.
Then finally, after a couple of lucky staggers, I think I managed to interrupt his laser move. So instead, he just went straight into this erratic charging, which is my personal nightmare. I started to panic, trying not to lose this lucky break, when someone in chat reminded me I had actually put these fire throwables on my hotbar earlier, but never used them. Now, I'm definitely one of those people who hoards consumables for later and then never actually uses them. But in this moment, I couldn't let this attempt go to waste. I just started chucking thermite in the direction of the boss.
Ah!
I was then reunited with two familiar faces in the Malum district, and I decided to go along with them for now. They actually join you as allies in this next area, which makes for a nice change of pace.
But look at you, all intact.
Don't like you.
We'll bring up the rear and watch for hidden threats.
I don't want you anywhere near my rear. Oh, he's...
What do you think? Not bad, eh? Our new dumbass. I'll take a breather here, then catch up later.
I was then greeted by the angelic sight of everyone's favourite family restaurant.
Red Lobster. You. I'll read that later. The door, get to the door, get to the door, get to the door. Is it open? Yes. No. Skip doesn't. Oh, okay, the big Why is it so long? It's average on what planet?
Eventually, we got to the boss fight. This whole fight is hype moments and aura.
I'm going in there.
You immediately get confronted by the eldest of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood, a stocky guy who lets his Buster Sword do the talking. But he's a lot faster than you might expect, chaining attacks together, spinning, kicking. And just when I started getting a feel for the fight, the game reminds you, this is a Brotherhood after all.
Time to stagger. Oh god. Oh, don't you dare!
Once the eldest's HP hits a certain threshold, the youngest sibling drops in. She's small, super nimble, flipping and dashing around. Her attacks don't do massive damage, but she's disruptive, and she doesn't share the same health bar as the boss. She's just there to make things difficult. But when she gets low, she'll back off. But that's just the cue for the next sibling to show up. At this point, the eldest generally will back off too, but not completely. If you stray too close to him, he will punish you for it. At one point, I tried something different. I stopped moving completely. I just stood there and learnt how to block him properly.
Not now, I'm busy!
And it worked. It ended up being the optimal strat for me, sitting still, blocking, and breaking his weapon. And then there's the Buckethead brother. He's got a spear and he does these wide dodges. He's probably the easiest to backstab thanks to the generous hitbox, and I actually really liked him. He's got this one Wukong style move where he plants the spear in the ground and then jumps up and kicks you. Then the final brother joins the fight, a noble looking black rabbit, all fancy swordplay and flair. Definitely my biggest adversary, exactly what you'd expect from a Dex user. He's also got a device like the Legion arm, using the puppet string to drag you across the arena towards him.
What?
Now to be fair, the actual boss was pretty low at this point. I could have easily just focused and rushed him down. Some people even recommend ignoring the siblings entirely throughout the fight. But no, a Dex user will not humble me. I'm the main character.
The heal.
And eventually it came down to just me and the eldest brother. Try to stay calm, remember my training, and blocked. Even though this was a gank fight, it was really well executed. The AI is fair, each sibling has their own quirks, their own weaknesses, and you could absolutely exploit them with different strategies. You also don't get overwhelmed easily. Each sibling only joins the fight at a specific HP threshold, but you're not on a timer. Next we went to Rosa Isabelle Street. This was probably one of my favourite areas to explore.
Look at the Ferris wheel. Oh, don't look at the Ferris wheel. Oh my goodness.
An extravagant entertainment district with all kinds of strange enemy types. Killer maids, wind-up explosive clowns, babies that turn their heads all the way around. There is this grim feeling in the air as you learn about the opera and the show they're putting on. And in this one side area, you enter this dramatic stage to fight an optional boss. White Lady.
I dedicate this performance to my sister Adelina!
It's a white lady!
Her name may have caused me to put my foot in my mouth.
That's not going in the review.
I'll be honest, I don't remember anything about this boss, but I did beat her on my first try. Eventually, I got the resource I wanted to unlock a specific Legion arm, and I knew exactly which one I wanted.
I'm gonna do acid. I said I'd do acid. I'll stick to my word. Ooh!
Now, nobody recommended that I use this arm. In fact, I had multiple people throughout my playthrough telling me to take it off because it was so bad. But you just don't get it. This game gives you more than enough resources to experiment with different arms and swap them based on the situation. But this one had everything I needed.
Is that a big ball? Seaman.
It wasn't long before I ran into another optional boss.
A clown? Is that clown coming towards me?
The Mad Clown Puppet. And I've got to say, he has some fun moves. Spring-loaded boxing glove, spinning pirouette, the whole circus routine. The annoying part wasn't the fight, it was the location. He comes at you from the high ground with this fireball, and the whole street on either side has enemies flanking you. But thankfully, chat let me know that there's actually a stargazer right behind the clown. It's totally hidden, you would have probably never have noticed it was there. And after all, you don't have to actually fight this boss if you don't want to, you can just walk past him. But I liked him.
Again. Oh.
The Opera House is genuinely something lovely to behold, lavish, eerie and theatrical in all the best ways. I love the enemy designs here, especially these powdered wig puppets with spider legs and ruffled dresses. When they sing, they release an AoE disruption effect, which was my first introduction to this new status ailment, disruption, and no, I'm not a fan.
Oh god! Oh, I died. Oh, it just kills me. Oh.
And they also buff nearby puppets with these golden glowing marionette strings, so it's best to just take them out quickly before things spiral.
Stop singing. Stop it.
I was actually really impressed with how many puppet variants the game kept throwing at me. Each new room had something unexpected. One that really stood out to me was this vaudeville-style puppet that looked like it was inspired by the Half and Half performance act. And then there's the boss of this area, your theatre peak cinema, the king of puppets.
Is this play about us? Brava, brava. Oh!
He is massive, towering over you with 4 arms. One of his particular moves really stands out. He will stand and his arms will spin rapidly like the blades of a fan, and that will eventually knock you up and deal AoE damage. It's really horrible. This is where the goop really starts to shine. Bigger, slower enemies like this tend to stick around in it for longer, letting the acid tick up and do damage over time.
Where does goop come from, Miss Chalice? Goop is stored in the arm. Wow!
I switched back to my beloved bonk stick and actually started investing into upgrades finally, because up until this point I hadn't upgraded really any of my weapons. Now with the added damage from my electric bonk stick and my trusty goop arm, I was finally ready to melt some puppets. And inside the king of puppets,
I'm fucked. Sorry.
was another puppet, smaller, faster and stronger. Romeo was a name that I'd heard throughout the game. With legs made of steel, he's got this move where he points his weapon at you and his eyes glow red. It's never a good sign of anything good to come. Phase 2 starts and I'm alive for maybe 5 seconds. It's easily the biggest spike in intensity so far. So I tried just running away, full sprint, get as far away from Romeo as possible. And you know what? I started lasting for longer than 5 seconds.
He throws it. He throws it. He grabs and he throws it.
I couldn't read his attacks at all, so I went back to what worked with the Black Rabbit Brotherhood, completely standing still. And surprisingly, that did work again. I don't know why I'm surprised every time. It's just conquering that fear is the hardest part.
You fool.
I began to see these tiny openings and punished where I could, until they just do that thing again.
Ooh, wow, that's cool. Oh dear, it's fire. It's fire. It's... Oh my god. Oh gee.
After his flame on moment, he goes into this string of rapid attacks that just don't stop.
Holy moly, that's insane. Yeah, he does that a lot. Okay, that was...
Also worth mentioning, the run back to this boss involves tightrope warping across a beam while a flaming chandelier swings back and forth. And when the boss starts tilting you, that chandelier knows it.
Yeah, okay.
But that flame frenzy he does at half health, I wasn't making any headway with surviving it, so I just called it a day. Next stream, I was doing a bit better with the blocking, still barely scraping through, but we were making slow progress. Of course, blocking more meant that this burnt through my weapon durability a lot faster.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My stance broke. I got none of those.
My biggest issue though was how I was using my Fable art. I was either trying to squeeze out damage or being greedy with it, instead of using it for what it's actually good at, applying big stagger.
That's true. I haven't actually tried to interrupt his coating stuff. Maybe that would be a good time to use my Fable art.
So once I had 3 bars saved up, I waited, saving it for the exact moment I could shut him down.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Get ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. No coating. No coating. No coating. Coating's off. That was very hard. That was very hard, and I'm glad I don't have to do it anymore.
Then came Vengini shopping mall, the Lorenzini arcade.
Is it this way? This way. This way. It wasn't this way. It's back outside. Oh no. We're back here again. Okay. Damn it. How many doors does this mall need? Have you considered buying a sense of direction? Or could you not find your way to the shop? Okay.
After spending an embarrassing amount of time wandering around in circles, something caught my eye that I hadn't planned on buying, but I couldn't live without. It sounds just like real shopping. The pizza cutter.
What a ridiculous weapon. I love it.
I know I started out doing a motivity build, but the more I played, the more I leaned into advance, which is kind of like arcane. I just loved weapons that had status effects baked into them. There's this moment in a cellar below the arcade where this big jester puppet jumps out from behind these barrels, and then shortly after, these carcasses also break out from nearby gates and start attacking the puppet.
Are they attacking him? What the?
Presumably they had been held prisoner here during the puppet frenzy, and it's a really cool moment of enemy interaction. And it's not just a one-off, it happens more than once throughout the game. With the stinky mall behind us, ahead lay the Grand Exhibition, full of enemies that are just absolutely cracked.
Oh goodness. Oh wow. No.
And as the name suggests, it's a show floor of the finest Krat technology and a chance to revisit some of your favourite or least favourite bosses. I was reunited here with a more upgraded version of Jerry and also treated to more platforming, which I did not ask for.
Get booped. Oh, don't push me off. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
And this area is not really one that you can run through. You actually have to play it. I know, tragic.
You're all dead to me. Oh my goodness.
Also, it was an absolutely roasting day in the UK at the time of streaming this, and my setup was not built for this sun, so my camera started cutting out, and so did my brain.
Remember to use the shortcut when you go back instead of running through everything. What's a shortcut?
You also get this brawler style of enemy, and it took me forever to beat him.
Only I may goop. If only I had a throwable. Do you think I can get one out really quickly? No, I threw the goop! Of all the things! The goop canister!
Only to learn that he was just the warm-up.
Wait, that guy wasn't Victor? This is Victor.
Is where evolution becomes real. I am Victor, the champion.
Jesus. Oh.
Your eyes.
This guy is like when you put Horalu and Mundo from League of Legends together. He struts around, he grapples you and swings just like the seasoned arena fighter that he's advertised as. I actually didn't have a terrible first attempt at learning his moves. I just did basically no damage, probably on account of humans not being weak to electricity. So I decided it was time to craft something new, fiery and fast. Maybe it was time to become a Dex user.
Fire? I'm not using your piddly little excuse of a weapon. Stop! I'm not a size queen. I don't even know what that means. Who plays poker? Oh my... Oh! It's too fast. It's too fast. Oh no, that's more like it. I'm a speed queen.
Another great thing about this game is that there are no stat requirements for any of the weapons. Even if you don't level technique, you can still use those weapons, you just get less out of the scaling. Plus, with the cranking system and most weapons scaling off multiple stats, you're never really locked out of using a weapon that won't work better for a certain boss. So with this red hot poker, I embraced the playstyle of a true Dex user. Run in, jab, run out. Ad nauseum.
I want him to pull out all the goop tubes. And fight me. Fight me natty, bro. Is that what people say? What did I just say?
This plan got me through to phase 2, which thankfully wasn't a massive departure from phase 1. It's a very fair fight. He will send you flying though if you get caught in one of his swings. And in a fiery blaze, I managed to clutch the win.
Oh, the weapon! Oh.
Only for someone to rudely interrupt our moment.
I am evolved. A better man.
Simon Manus. This wouldn't be the last time I would see him or his little friend.
He loves the sound of his own voice, that guy. Simon Manus. More like Simon Yapus.
I then ran into the dastardly duo again.
Can you spare any?
Oh
As a
man.
personal favor?
Oh man.
And even though I talk big game, they actually pulled the pity card on me, and it worked.
Fine.
We knew you were a true friend.
I liked you from the start, you know?
Be quiet.
The Barren Swamp is such a cool twist on what Souls players might expect from a swamp. It's a garbage heap, an industrial dumping grounds for broken puppets.
It's a living grave of hell. Oh my god, literally hell. Rating 2.5 out of 5. Wow, that is quite generous.
And even though it's a clever way to reuse enemy types, it works really well in universe here. You're fighting puppets that were tossed out for being defective, so you start to see enemies you fought before, but they're a little bit off.
Don't shoot. He's bald. Balls. What? It's the clown, but scraps.
And there are some absolutely wild weapons hidden here too. There's a crystal sword that shatters as you swing it, but also slowly regenerates. There's a blade literally stitched together with puppet arms. And it's also a gold mine for upgrade materials. And if you're not in the mood to fight, you can just loot and move on.
Ah, now what does this area remind me of, I wonder? Oh, oh, it's another puppet of the future. Oh, it's another puppet of the future. Oh, thank you. It's 2 puppets of the future.
That's just logic.
There's also an optional fight against the Owl Doctor.
I think you're really a doctor. Or an owl.
The doctor's assessment.
He's wall hacking.
All
He's wall hacking.
civilizations are
Use the stun. He cannot use a stun.
After that, I entered the old mine section, which is kind of a vertical maze with lots of layered pathways and backtracking.
Oh, I'm going to get lost here, aren't I? Surely not. So that's... okay, so that's there. I'll remember that. Ladder is next to the door? No, it's not.
And another ball cave.
Oh! Where did it come from? What?
Not every puppet here is one you've seen before, though. There are a couple of new models mixed in, just to keep you on your toes.
That green thing is huge! What on earth did it eat in the swamp to grow so big?
Here you stumble into a giant goop-spitting creature that tunnels underground, screams, swings, and pincers everything in sight. It moves so chaotically. I found that you can't really outrun the tunneling move, and I couldn't really time the block either because I couldn't see it coming. Eventually, I learned that if I dodged to the side, right as it erupted from the ground, that worked best for me.
Alright, let's see phase 2. Let's see green swamp monsters phase 2. Oh. Oh, okay.
Now in phase 2, you might recognize how it starts moving. Due to the puppet body it inhabits, the swamp monster will start mimicking the scrapped Watchman and its moves, but also some of its own homebrews, like crab walking, or this thrashing relentless charge that just keeps on going.
Oh, what is that? What is that? Oh, what is that? What is that? What is that? Oh. What is this? What is this? What is this? It's actually a nightmare. He keeps going, he keeps going. Nothing will stop him. Alright, I'm done.
This whole fight feels like it's designed to make you stressed. The music swells into this orchestral nightmare, and you have the decay building up, so you're having to manage that ailment. I just needed to find a way to deal with that specific phase 2 move. And the thing is, it wasn't just one straight charge, it just kept on going.
First time watching, try not to get spoiled, don't worry. We'll be here for the entire stream. You will not see anything else this game has to offer but this one boss. Oh.
I was banging my head in terms of strategy, so chat helped me out with some tactics. You see, when this boss shifts into phase 2, it also shifts type, kind of like Ludwig, from human to beast, except here it changes from carcass to puppet. So what perfect weapon did I have at my disposal? The pizza cutter. Fortunately, the game has an option that if you do this single button press, you can actually swap out your weapon mid-fight for something that you've put in your second slot. So now that I had itemized correctly, I just needed to perfect my positioning.
I can't tell what he's doing. He's jumping. Okay. He's jumping. 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 He's running. Don't get... Just run. Just run. Run!
That charge move was my biggest problem, so by testing different changes to my running angle, circling wider and with sharper turns, I found that I could stay out of his range. This was working, but it was dragging on a bit. I could only land 1 or 2 hits at a time, and even then the damage was a bit underwhelming. The longer the fight went on, the more likely I was to slip up, especially during that charge move. So I decided to fully commit. The pizza cutter was now my main weapon of choice, so I upgraded it as much as possible. And this, of course, would shred through the phase 2.
Who would have thought? You just need to upgrade your weapon to almost maximum.
Now after this boss, you have a really cool change in terms of world design.
Why is it crossed out?
After beating the swamp monster, you push forward and suddenly you find yourself back in the station where the game began. But this time it's not filled with puppets. It's crawling with carcasses. The atmosphere is now very horror-themed. You're creeping through these dark, abandoned train carriages, wondering what's around the next corner.
Don't jump scare me. Please don't jump scare me. Please. Please. Oh. Oh, yeah. You thought. Oh, hold on. Hang on. I hit the wall.
There's also another optional boss here, Robber Weasel. She's a real menace, using a fire axe and constantly throwing objects to stagger you, only to follow it up with a brutal strike. Underestimating her is a mistake, but finally taking her down, extremely satisfying.
Your toast.
I just wanted a full belly. That's not so long.
Was that a hungry child I just annihilated?
Once you surface again, finally stepping out of the underground station, it becomes clear why you couldn't return here earlier. Collapsing Krat is spectacular, but gameplay-wise, it's a bit janky, mostly thanks to the return of everyone's favourite status ailment, Disruption, now brought to you in glowing yellow crystals.
Oh no, there's platforming. There's platforming. There's status ailments. There's a purple platypus. I mean butterfly. It went in 2 seconds. What awaits us in the collapsed clock tower, I wonder? Goop Lady Maria? It is Goop Lady Maria.
Well, not quite. At the top of the tower, in the dim glow of an overhead fan unit, a figure stands clutching their head in agony. And as you get closer, you can see this exposed blue brain. Walker of Illusions has an incredible design, and she's lethal. She wields a cleaver in one hand and a dagger in the other, attacking with surgical precision and unpredictable timing.
Oh, still? Oh, still. What's going on here? Give me some space, woman!
And if that wasn't hard enough, when she becomes staggerable, you can't really punish her that easily because of her brain blast move, this AoE burst that interrupts you the moment you get too close. And once she's done, she's no longer staggerable. The fight is mostly to do with surviving her deadly knife work, but then she pulls out this special move that explains why she's called Walker of Illusions. She duplicates herself, and suddenly you're fighting two versions of her in this tight arena. And unlike the Eldest of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood fight, you can't really ignore this ad. Both are going to attack you at once.
Quick tip, you can kill clone pretty easy and fast. That's not a tip.
On one lucky attempt, her illusion didn't even trigger at the halfway point like it usually does.
She didn't twin. She didn't do the twin. She's not twinning. What's happening? No twin? So no twin? Oh, my brain!
Learning her timings took some serious effort, and this heavy battery weapon I had picked up was a bit too sluggish for the fight. The charge attack took too long and her stagger windows were tight, so I switched back to the pizza cutter. It was just objectively better for this fight. Lighter, faster, perfect for blocking and staggering. Even then there were a few close calls. She really doesn't give you any breathing room.
I wish her weapon would break. Yeah, it's strange. It doesn't seem like you can. Oh! It broke! Show me your weapon. It did break! Hey.
Then, to my surprise, I found myself back at the circus, the area right before the hotel, and what was waiting outside is a puppet, but also a victim of the tragedy ravaging Krat. The parade master, your tutorial boss, returns, but now he's transformed into this corrupted sea anemone-like monster. Time for a rematch.
I'm not who I once was. I can block now. I'm not afraid of you anymore.
It was honestly a lot of fun to revisit his moveset now with my new playstyle. While most of his attacks remain the same, at half health he starts spitting out carcasses and dealing decay damage. These carcasses are slow moving, but they do explode when they die. I found the trick was to just leave them alone. They're quite easy to avoid. In fact, destroying them is often worse, since the boss will just spit out another one. Surprisingly, I managed to beat him on the first try, and I actually didn't mind the boss reuse, because it narratively fits and it's a nice full circle moment. I then entered the next area.
Trismegistus. Sorry, Trismegistus. Trismegistos.
And before long, I ran into a new boss. Or should I say, old boss.
Bunny. Uh-oh. They're back.
Accept your fate. Death has come for you.
This time you fight the entire Brotherhood. 3 siblings are all in the ring at once, each one swinging the same weapons you remember, only now they've got elemental upgrades. The Dex Rabbit is still just as irritating as ever, but now with a fire sword that causes overheat. Their AI is still really well programmed, meaning that it doesn't really feel like a typical gank fight. If you position yourself smartly and keep moving, you can isolate one enemy at a time without getting rushed. Each of them has this little ritual where they announce they're coating their weapons in their element before charging in, which actually helped. I started using that as a cue to take on whichever one was talking. The youngest uses decay, and she's fast enough that the status builds up quickly. And my good old Buckethead rocks an electric blitz pole because he is based. Eventually, I managed to down 2 of the siblings, only to get a nasty surprise.
I couldn't save our brother. That's what our fate was. Brother? Those alchemists! Steady! Even if it's just temporary, brother, you are with us!
Genuinely, in my head. What's everyone complaining about? It's fine. Oh, okay. Yep. There he is. Are you crying? Yes.
For some reason, I did not notice that the coffin they brought with them is actually a tangible object in the arena. The moment there's only one sibling left, the eldest will burst out of the coffin and join the fight. Now, if I could get the positioning just right and the enemies aligned, my goop arm actually became surprisingly useful here. While I was focused on one sibling, the other 2 would just sort of wander into the acid and stand there, slowly ticking up the damage.
So the goop strat is you throw it on the floor and ask them nicely to step in it. Bingo.
And this strategy let me whittle them all down together, setting things up so that I could eliminate them all quickly in succession, leaving me to fully focus on the eldest. But that big blue sweep attack kept catching me off guard, and on an attempt where the eldest spawned, by pure luck I just happened to be standing behind a rock completely shielded from the blast. The problem was I still hadn't finished dealing with the last sibling, so that caused me to flail around a bit. Over time I got a lot better at syncing up the takedowns.
Go, 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 go.
When we couldn't save our brother.
Where is he?
But I hadn't actually fought him one-on-one in a while, and it showed I was really rusty with his attack pattern.
Damn.
Everything was lining up for a win, until it wasn't. I thought I had staggered him, and technically I did, but his stagger animation is deceptive. If you don't capitalize on it immediately, he starts this wild flurry of slashes before finally stumbling. It's a fake out, one of those things you just have to learn the hard way. So in my winning attempt, I stopped playing cautious and went full green mode.
That was so risky. I'm not risking anything.
I really love this fight, easily one of my favourites in the game.
My friend's birthday today? Should I go celebrate with her or watch you? I'm a clown. Go be with your friend.
You know how FromSoft really love their classic climb into a coffin and teleport to a new area? Well, this game said, what if it was a whale shark submarine?
Oh my god, they made it look like a whale.
Listen, pal. Nice landing.
You end up at the Black Seaside, a dark beach that starts off quietly, allowing you to get these little memory fragments. And then immediately the tone shifts.
Look up. Oh. Oh, this is a fun area.
Enemies come pouring in from every direction, you're under fire, and there's this massive monolith-like structure that towers over everything. To get inside, first had to take down Door Guardian. Now, he's kind of a gimmick boss. At first, I was just swinging at anything, but most of my hits just bounced off his stony leg.
No damage? What?
The only part you can really damage is the smaller, unarmoured one, and even then, it barely does anything. It was clear that there was a trick here. That took a few attempts and some trial and error to figure out. Eventually, on one of those tries, I managed to knock him down to one knee, and that was after only shaving off about 1/10 of his health. So my chat suggested that I try something faster and fire-based, so I dusted off the red hot poker again. It took a bit to get back into the rhythm of it.
Ooh, the game lagged. Apologies. Lag. Blame it on lag. I died.
But after some steady prodding, this happened.
Oh, oh, something happened. What happened? Something happened. What happened? Get to the circle! Oh!
Turns out the trick is to stagger him, then land a fatal strike, which takes out half his health bar. Do that again, and that's the whole fight.
What? That's it?
It was probably the weakest boss in the game for me, not just because of his design, but the execution. The game doesn't signal the staggerable state like it usually does. No glowing white health bar, no clear animation. He just sort of lumbers around until you figure it out. But once you do, the fight's over quickly, so it's hard to stay mad at it.
I'm sure you've heard this before, but why do you handle the controller like my grandmother? Oh, I was never this cranky. I'll show you cranky.
This area is long, really long. Ladders everywhere, lots of enemies crammed into tight spaces, a lot of status effects flying at you.
Go through. No, not from behind. Go up. No. Okay, it's part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. Lure them over here, and then we can... Okay.
And on top of that, there are traps.
Ooh! I forgot. Oh, that's really funny.
I did manage to find a new weapon combination that really pulled its weight here. The Goop Blade. Eventually I reached this foggy section where all of these rooms in a grid start to blur together because of the fog. It's really disorientating. You keep second guessing the path forward. What's cool though is how this area puts more on the puppet versus carcass dynamic. Depending on the combination of enemies fighting each other, the fight can be quite unique and amusing to watch.
Platforming and butterflies. Where are you going? Oh, the reach of my weapon. No! No!
I'm really not very good at platforming. I was trying to balance on this tiny ledge while trying to find enemies and chase after butterflies, and one wrong step would just drop me down into hell.
I hate disruption. I hate disruption.
After chaotically scrambling through this nightmare area, I turned the corner and found some solace in the form of a boss door. When an enemy design consists of them dragging their giant weapon behind them, buckle up, you see this penitent heavy armor and a better look at this really sick and unique greatsword.
Wow. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought this boss would be slow based on her equipment. Laxasia has powerful, wide sweeps, AoE electric shock, lunging stabs that immobilize you, and unbelievable 12-hit combos that gather momentum as she slashes. And what's even worse is that Laxasia has this shield on her back. Unlike previous human enemies that tend to run up and expose their backs to you, she actually has protection from being backstabbed. This is another reason why she is so formidable. She excels in defense, speed, and strength. But her one weakness, goop. Acid eats through Laxasia's armor, and coupled with the acid blade on my second attempt, her shield splintered, and I made it to phase 2 relatively painlessly.
Oh, Simon. Your sword, Laxasia, swears to protect this tower.
Phase 2 begins with Laxasia yelling, launching herself into the air and hovering there while she throws these balls of lightning at you. After a couple of seconds to regain my senses, I realized these could be blocked, just as Laxasia herself projectiled herself at me. Without her armor, she is now faster, and I mean blink and she'll have teleported in your face fast. As such, I tried to hang on as much as I could, but once again was dazed by how much these phase 2s ramp up in terms of speed. So once again, like with the King of Puppets and Green Swamp Monster, I simply needed more exposure to phase 2 in order to learn it. And part of why this took so long, in my opinion, is because I was treating it like phase 1. I actually needed to completely reverse my strategy. I didn't want to be anywhere near her, as she has so many moves that actually disincentivize getting close. How could I have been so foolish? Watching this footage, I just want to shake myself. Stop it, get away from her. And then came the usual degradation of performance. My blocking got worse, I was getting caught out, I was missing Fable attacks. Yeah, I needed to log off. Back with a full tank of energy and no clown makeup, I was determined, but lingering doubt still nagged at the back of my mind. This was probably going to take hours. Despite reaching phase 2 early on, progress quickly hit a wall. I found myself struggling more as the fight went on, likely due to overthinking, overanalyzing, and generally getting in my own head. The goop spear I'd been using felt too slow, so I went back to my old favourite. Then I went full analysis mode. I studied every move, the grab, the impale. I tried to figure out the precise timings to dodge or block, when to properly use the goop arm, which grindstone to use or amulets to equip, anything that might give me the edge. Eventually I had an idea. Combine the best of both worlds. The goop blade paired with the bonk stick handle, speed, scaling, acid application, it had everything. We needed goop firing from all cylinders, so I also equipped some Fable catalysts. They instantly give you Fable art juice, although that idea didn't last for long.
Missed.
Then finally a breakthrough. After 2 hours of struggling, I realised something.
What's this? What? I blocked it? I blocked it. I blocked it.
That Saralon skewer move, it could be blocked. Everything can be blocked in this game, I'm not joking. Once you remember and embrace that mindset, you become unstoppable. Frustration started creeping in again. My fighting got sloppy. I was back in my own head.
I'm mad. I'm actually mad now.
So back to the drawing board. This time I kept the goop blade, but switched to the booster glaive handle. Forget that I said the previous weapon had everything. This has everything. Reach, speed, fable arts, scaling, and the charged heavy attack is kind of broken. It lets you close the gap easily with all the power of a heavy attack. Changed my equipment all around to boost my defense so I could avoid getting two-shotted in phase 2, and that had immediate effect. I was now consistently making it there, but it still felt so daunting, so I took a quick break to reset, and when I came back, I knew I had all the tools I needed. There was only one thing left to do.
So you know what? We just have to get good. Okay.
I don't know why it had taken me this long, but I finally realised that phase 2 also has a gimmick. Those electric orbs that she sends flying at you, well, if you block them successfully, they actually get reflected back to her and deal damage. So ideally you want Laxasia to go up in the sky and do that move because it means guaranteed damage for you and you don't have to deal with her deadly ground attacks. Now I was so locked in that I didn't realise my camera had stopped working, again, mid-attempt. Probably because I was getting very heated with chat.
Is it my capture card or is it my camera, I wonder? I don't get why you start running when she dive bombs you. The grindstone doesn't last long enough, I'm telling you. I think I'm going insane. You're going insane.
As a quick summary, someone had recommended that I use the Perfect Guard grindstone. For a short time, it makes any block you do automatically become a perfect block, which is super important for reflecting those electric orbs back. But when Laxasia is done firing them, she follows up with that dive bomb move, and I was trying and failing to block that as well. For some reason, my entire understanding of how the grindstone worked was based on false information. I thought once you activated it, it would just automatically parry for you. And that's because on the attempt where I was testing it out, I swear I wasn't pressing the block button, but the game was still reflecting the orbs for me. I mean, maybe it does look like I initially did one button input, but after that I wasn't touching block. You can see my hands.
No need for a hand cam when you can see the controller the whole time.
It turns out the actual way the grindstone works is you're supposed to hold block the entire time, not just press it once per orb. And that just completely broke my brain.
Chat, why do you always do this to me when I'm doing a boss? Why do you always do this to me? You see the grindstone icon in the top left when it's active? I know, I'm telling you. I demonstrated for chat. I showed them. I said, look at this. Look at what I'm doing. Look at what I'm doing. And you all... You can't do this to me.
So, with this salt and misinformation, I beat the boss on that attempt. Thankfully, she went airborne a lot, which meant I got plenty of free damage from the orb reflection.
Booyah!
It was really annoying that the camera died during that attempt, because no one believed me that I actually was playing. So in typical fashion, I beat the boss, and then only after did I fully understand the mechanics.
Now take the grindstone off, you clearly don't understand its function. Hold it, not press it? Oh!
You then get this quiet, sad ascent to the top of the tower, but the journey doesn't let up.
Big hole. Oops! Oh! Careful! Ooh!
You do meet Red Fox again, you do meet Black Cat again, but I was feeling rather generous, and even though we had our differences, I felt that I had no reason to fight them, and you did get a little satisfying conclusion to the two story. Atop the tower awaited my reunion with Simon Manus, and he was not looking so well since our last meeting.
There goes a gift from me, Simon Manus, who will transgress even God. Bow down to your God.
His little shoes, I'm really sorry.
Simon does big circular sweeps with this big electric mace thing. I managed to get to phase 2 on my first try, and if you were to have asked me what was under Simon Manus's cloak, I don't think I would have ever guessed it was this.
Behold, as I discard this fragile body.
This scene gave me chills. It's easily one of the craziest designed bosses in this game, and the combat is probably exactly what you would expect for fighting an awakened god. There is a lot of moves now: heat-seeking disruption balls, blue smite from the heavens, explosive blasts, all while Simon is swinging at you physically. This was one of those instances where I had to choose what attacks were optimal to block and which ones I should just run away from. I also switched back to the Goop Blade as I needed to close the gap quickly to get hits in on Simon, otherwise I was just endlessly running around dodging all the abilities. This was going really well. What do you think could have happened next?
What is happening?
He has a Hand of God move. There is maybe too much going on in phase 2, a lot of moving around. Honestly, they probably could have cut one of the types of ranged attacks here, because personally I thought there were a little too many, but the Hand of God one is insane.
I want more particle effects. More particle effects. More particle effects.
I was getting close, but you know, the stream was just missing a little something. We needed more immersion.
Black and white webcam, man. Black and white. Is this good? The game has to be black and white as well? Okay. No, there's nothing wrong with your monitor. Imagine if I beat it on this.
So I had to quickly invent colour television as I beat Simon Manus. Now I know I haven't talked too much about the game's story in this video, because I want to do a dedicated video in the future. However, I will be talking about the last boss and an important turning point, so this is your warning now to either click off the video or skip to the next chapter for my final thoughts. After a long elevator ride down the spire, we come face to face with someone who's got a lot of explaining to do.
Huh? That's...
your heart.
No, Dad.
If you give me your heart, all these trials and tribulations will be over. You have been a brilliant and a good boy. As your reward, I shall turn you into a real boy.
I am a real boy, Dad.
Give me your heart, son.
No! No! No!
I'm disappointed in you.
Dad, what's in the books?
I didn't mean for this to happen. My son.
It is implied that this puppet is what remains of Geppetto's real son, Carlo, or at least built in his image. This is supposedly the first puppet Geppetto ever made, and he may have used parts of Carlo's corpse, given the blood and human-like skin. What Geppetto has really been doing this whole time is grooming you to act as a surrogate. By strengthening your P organ, or your heart, you've been unknowingly shaping it into something more human, but not for you. For Carlo, you're not Geppetto's real son, at least not in his eyes. Your dad is not a great person. The nameless puppet was rejected for being too destructive, and that's clear from how he fights. He wields giant sewing scissor-like blades and is literally being puppeteered by Geppetto via marionette strings. Some really clever thematic design. I made it to phase 2 on my first try, but in the scuffle, P actually cuts the top off the puppet's head, and that breaks Geppetto's control. He's now faster, splitting and dual-wielding the scissor blades. He also gets that red eye flash move, which is never a good sign.
Oh, goodness. Oh, that's so cool. Stop! Stop speaking in my head.
And to make it even more intense, you're hearing the memories of all the people you've met on your journey, and after a few tries it does start to get a bit repetitive.
Not now, Eugenie!
As the nameless puppet is technically half human, half puppet lore-wise, that means both acid and electricity are good to use against him. And well, my goop arm and pizza cutter were endgame after all. I just had to get better at judging the range of his weapon.
Oh, there's an option at the Stargazer to do what? End the game. Give your hearts! Really?
You can actually change your mind at any point and choose to willingly give up your heart. So if you made the wrong choice or you've decided you actually don't want to fight the nameless puppet, this option technically lets you complete the game and give you the respective ending. But don't worry, it's not hopeless. Don't give up your heart. You can block everything, remember?
My weapon's gonna break.
I had a really satisfying fight with this boss. It's genuinely a great final encounter. But because the nameless puppet has gone rogue, he almost destroys your P organ, and Geppetto has to sacrifice himself in order to protect it, as that is his son's memories. Apparently I got the objectively best ending. Because of my choices throughout the game, P had become more human enough to shed a tear for the man he thought was his father, fading away in front of him.
I'm sorry.
In his final moments, you can interpret that Geppetto finally recognized P not just as a puppet, but as his true son in his final breath. There are 2 other endings that you can actually get, and as the credits roll, I also got this quiet, touching moment with Sophia due to another one of my choices in the game.
It's so good to see you.
I feel very comforted in myself knowing that you put in enough practice into playstyle that you can do it. Like I said, you know, blocking and being aggressive and stuff like that was never really my playstyle. If you want to try and play in a certain way that you're not used to, you can totally do it. You just have to practice. Practice and not be afraid. It's okay to get knocked down, literally. But no, it makes you feel, you know, more confident about yourself and stuff. And that's what the point of the series is, which I didn't think was going to become a series. You know, I'm bad at video games, so I played this. But that is probably the takeaway I would like to have about the games that I play, is that the kind of focus on improving a particular aspect. And for this one, it's definitely been blocking, parrying, whatever you want to call it. And lying. I got better at lying after playing this game.
This game has some devastatingly good plot twists, moments that completely flip your perspective on characters and some bosses. Some of them hit so hard that it totally warrants a second playthrough. And there are some great incentives to do so. In New Game Plus, you can carry over an item from the main quest that finally lets you read the puppet language, which was previously obscure during boss fights. There are also new records you can only get in New Game Plus, featuring different arrangements of songs. Speaking of tunes, for a game that isn't a music game, the theme of music is surprisingly important. It was something I didn't expect going into this, but it ended up being incredibly welcome and touching where it did appear. It goes way beyond just having a cool boss OST. The idea that listening to music and actually feeling something from it makes you more human, and that this concept is baked into a gameplay mechanic is such a pure and thoughtful design choice. I made sure to listen to all the records I got as quest rewards, and the game will acknowledge you have done so with small details if you take the time to listen to them all the way through. I had a blast playing this and would absolutely recommend it to anyone who enjoys Souls-likes. Combat-wise, it's super polished and consistently fun. Sure, some parts are definitely derivative, but the game's director is open with how much respect he has for those games, so to me it definitely didn't play as recycled FromSoft slop. What makes this game stand apart is the story. It's all about Pinocchio, but with a much darker, more philosophical edge. Themes of love, grief, free will, and what it means to be human give this game its own identity.